Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for the Cakebox interim presentation. The team have announced their results this morning, which I'm sure you saw from the RNS, and we have also published a note where you can find forecasts on our website. Otherwise, I will hand over now to Sukh Chamdal to take you through the presentation.
Great, thank you very much, everybody. My name's Sukh Chamdal. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the Egg-Free Cakebox. I opened the first Cakebox in 2008 as a concept store, and we co-founded the franchise business in 2009 with Pardip Dass. I've had 35 years plus of experience in the food manufacturing and the food retail industry. I've learnt my role on the job. I've all done in practical and in being in retail all my life. I've got experience in catering and vegetarian foods for functions and events. We've done from small 50 to up to 20,000 people. And I'll hand you over to Pardip Das.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Pardip Das. I'm the Chief Finance Officer for the Egg-Free Cakebox. About 10 years ago, me and Sukh decided that we wanted to franchise the business, so we co-founded the Egg-Free Cakebox franchise. I've got more than 15 years experience within the food and beverage industry as an accountant, and I qualified as a chartered management accountant whilst I was a commercial analyst at Starbucks Coffee Company.
I'll give you a small, quick overview. We can switch to slide 3, please, Hannah. Right, thank you for joining our presentation today. During the half-year results period from April to September that we're reporting on today, we clearly faced unprecedented challenges from the pandemic, including the initial lockdown forcing us to close our stores for 6 weeks. So I'm very pleased with the considerable resilience we've showed and the strong continued recovery since. I'd also like to thank all our franchisees and employees for their exceptional efforts during an unprecedented period. I started this business over a decade ago, and I've never been proud of them more than I have been over the last 9 months. As I said, we opened the first store in 2008. We conceived that in a single shop in East London. And I'm proud to say now that we operate out of three operation centres, Enfield, Bradford, and soon to be Coventry. 139 franchise stores at the end of 30th of September. We've opened 5 new stores since, even despite lockdown. And what do? We specialize in making delicious, high quality, bespoke celebration cream cakes. All our cakes are free from egg products. That enables us to have a much wider market share. So we capture all the vegetarians, we capture anyone who's got dietary restrictions, and we capture everybody who loves a fresh cream cake. We're lacking in the vegan department, but we have introduced new products, and we will come on to those later on. We provide personalization. We are the Amazon of the cake industry. We give you a cake the way you want it. We want it now. We give it to you now. You can pop in store. You've got a selection of ready-made cakes to go. You can order click and collect. You can order delivery. Or we have a strong growth profile, as we will be showing you along in the slides. If we pop over to slide 4, you can see some of our products. The core product is the fruit gâteau, the gâteau really. It's the fresh cream cake, sponge cake, which we sell the most of. We complement that with cake slices. We have complementary products like cheesecakes, cupcakes, and for larger functions, you can also have a platter cake. Or we do a selection of loaf cakes, so you can have that with your tea. And we've also launched the gluten/vegan-free loaf cake as well. Or we've got slices starting from about £2.50. We've got photo cakes, and we do give you a lot of selection for if you come in the shop, online, or for delivery itself. We are, if you go to the next slide, we are a franchise business. We do not own any stores ourselves. All the shops are purely franchised, and we've got a record number of paid deposits from potential franchisees, and it reflects in what we can offer them. We offer them the potential to open on multi-sites. We've got 32 franchisees who've got more than one site. We don't have any marketing or service fee or a marketing levy. Very good hours, 11 to 7. The franchisees are welcome to open earlier or later, but that's what we recommend. Or on average, you can expect to have 20-month payback, which is really good in our industry. We offer them a turnkey package. We do everything for them. Once we even help them negotiate the rent and rates on their shops, the terms and conditions. We help them with their business plan for loans, and they can expect earnings of about 87k EBITDA, which is a really good payback. Our brand is getting bigger and better and more recognized as we all expand over the country. We're getting more and more brand awareness. The franchisees themselves, if we've got a one-stop shop, they order online and they will get all their goods delivered, and they only end up with one invoice. How convenient is that? If we go into the next one, I can give you a quick overview of the store franchise application process. We go for quality, not quantity. So that's why we have this 3-stage format where they apply online. Once we receive that back, they will get a full franchise application sent. Once we have received that, we will filter out, and then we will invite the successful applications to a presentation with our senior team. Once they've had the presentation and we've talked to them, they will be selected. If they're successful, they'll go forward to a second interview, either with myself or my senior team. And once they've had that second interview and they've been passed, they will pay a deposit to show the goodwill. And I emphasize it's a deposit. We're an ethical company. We don't deduct anything out of those deposits if they pull out. We will then go into site selection. And once we've got the site selection, that goes to legals. And once we've got the keys in our hand, we start the shop build and also the training of the franchisee. We have a comprehensive training program, which will encompass the whole business model, right from how to make cakes to how to do the accounts. Once the shop has been built and we have had all the training done, we will do a pre-opening marketing on social media. And within getting the keys, we aim to have the shop open within 4 to 6 weeks. If we go to the next slide, I can give you the financial highlights. Of revenue down 2%, reflecting the period of closure during the spring lockdown. However, gross profit was up and EBITDA marginally increased as well. Our net cash has increased along with the earnings per share. This has enabled our interim dividend to increase by 15% to 1.85, and that's in addition to the reinstated dividend we had earlier in the year. We did, at the beginning, furlough some staff, but once we reopened and we saw that the business was better than normal, we repaid all the furlough back to the government. If we go into the next slide, we can go to the operational highlights. Our store openings and sales were unsurprisingly impacted by the lockdown in March to May, but we still managed to open 6 new franchise stores over the period, taking the total number to 139 by the end of September. Moreover, we have begun the second half strongly with 5 new store openings already and a strong pipeline that we'll come on to talk about. Since the period end, we have also launched our own cake box delivery service. This complements the partnerships we have with the delivery platforms such as Uber Eats, Just Eat and Deliveroo. Which we launched in the first half of this year. These have been very well received, particularly by those outside of the delivery platform's catchment service areas, and means no distance is too far for Cakebox to provide its customers with these tasty products. Products include our delicious new gluten-free and vegan loaf cakes, which have proved very well. If we go on to the next page, we've got the franchisee operational highlights. Just like other metrics, franchise total turnover was impacted in the period by the forced store closures. However, we saw a strong recovery when we started to reopen the store estate, with like-for-like sales up over 12%, underlining the continual growth in demand for our products and agility of our model. We saw online sales grow by more than 50%, driven by the initiative we took in the first half to sign up with those delivery partners to complement our popular click and collect offer. Importantly, we have also maintained and even strengthened our pipeline for new store openings, underpinned by a record number of new franchise deposits, which Pardip will come on to talk about in more detail shortly. If we go into the map on page 10, as you can see, on the map, there are many areas of the UK that remain starved of local Cakebox shops and many high streets in need of our colourful shop fronts and interiors. In particular, we see opportunities in Scotland, Wales, South West, North East and South East. We're still underrepresented in South London, but we are addressing this. Alongside our 139 stores at the period end, we also had 14 kiosks. This is a mobile format of our shops that open up further new potential locations for Cakebox products to be sold, including shopping centres, service stations, large petrol stations, train stations, etc. I'll hand over to Pardip for the financial review.
Thanks, Sukh. If you turn to page 8, go through the detailed financials. So page 8 is the income statement. As we mentioned earlier, revenues were only down by 2% despite our store closed for more than 6 weeks in the first lockdown period. Gross margin improved by more than 300 basis points as a result of lower shop openings, where the contribution is 25%, and we had higher sponge sales, where the contribution is 70%. Our administrative costs went up year on year as we increased costs in payroll due to the planned growth we had envisaged before the COVID lockdown. And all in all, profits after tax dipped slightly as a result of the lost revenues in that 6 weeks period that we spoke about. If you turn over to the next page for the balance sheet, you'll see that fixed assets increased in value as a result of the upward valuation of Enfield Warehouse and Distribution Centre. Now, we reported this at the full year as well, where our valuation went from £2.5 million to £4 million for the freehold property that we have in Enfield. And this, coupled with the lack of dividend that we paid for the full year, meant that we increased our balance sheet value by more than 35% to £9.7 million. If you go over to the page for the cash flow, in the 20 weeks that we did trade, cash from operating activities was nearly as good as the prior half year. As a result of this strong trading following the first lockdown period, we decided to return the monies that were given to us by the government for furlough aid, in return really to pay a special dividend to our shareholders. Net cash increased by £2.3 million in this period, but roughly half of this was due to the non-payment of the dividend. And I'm pleased to say that we paid a special dividend, which was equal to the dividend that we took away for the full year. And this was paid immediately after the half-year period. If we move on to page 12, I'm going to talk to you about store rollout. So we're holding a record number of deposits from potential franchisees as they've secured areas and territories from both existing and new franchisees. And I think having 47 deposits at half year shows that our brand and proposition remains highly attractive from both the existing franchisees and a greater proportion of new franchisees that are coming through. And we're getting those franchisees coming through because they feel a little bit of insecurity in the jobs that they've holding. And so they see Cakebox as a better proposition going forward, a stable business with good backup from the franchisor. And with that in mind, we're very confident that we'll easily be able to hit our store targets in the future. Page 13 is really about online sales and how our online presence has grown rapidly during the COVID period. We partnered with third-party delivery platforms such as Just Eat, Uber Eats and Deliveroo just before the lockdown. And that gave us access to a new customer that would not normally have come to Cakebox. And most recently, we introduced delivery from our own website in the first week of October. And that lets us tap into existing customers who want their cakes delivered. And online now represents 25% of our total sales, whereas before the lockdown period, before COVID, this was trading at 15%. And what does that mean? What's the benefit for that? We've seen the benefit in our like-for-like sales performance, which has been positive throughout our estate. I'll hand you back to Sukh.
We've been, for the current trading outlook, we've touched on our strong current trading already, but I want to finish by running through a few key takeaways on that and the outlook. Most importantly, all our stores remain open, with only the few shopping centre kiosks closed down due to the second lockdown. But we have maintained positive sales growth in the second half. This has been supported by a continued acceleration in our online sales, up circa 56.5% year on year in the 6 weeks since period end versus last year. And this has been boosted by the launch of the Cakebox home delivery service to complement our existing partner offer from the delivery platforms. Opening 5 new stores with encouraging initial trading, epitomised by our new Stain shop, which has set a first week sales record. Looking ahead, we have a strong pipeline of new franchisees and franchise stores that are finished with, and they are therefore confident of meeting full year opening target of new stores and delivery of the growth strategy. And so we'll hand back to Hannah.
Thank you very much. And just a reminder to everyone who is listening in that you can submit questions and put them to the team. But we have had a few through on email prior to this. So let's make a start with these. Does management think that the brand will be going through an upgrade anytime soon?
Brand is constantly under review, and the changes taking place in the next next cycle. So every 5 years, the franchisees or renew their contracts, and so at that time, that's when the upgrades start going in. It's actually orange and purple, and we do find that the customers really recognise the colours. Or rather than going to more subtle colours like Greg's, we would like to be light, bright, and stick out like a sore thumb, and we are achieving. And so, but we do change the sign, the font, etc., as the cycle goes around.
Good. Well, you certainly can't be missed on the high street at the moment, Sukh. Perhaps a little bit here on sort of repeat custom to get a better view of the profile of them. Do you know how many times the average customer would buy a cake in a year?
Again, we have data that says that the customer will buy a birthday cake for themselves, they'll buy birthday cakes for their children or their partner, or an anniversary cake. So depending on the size of the family, the size of how many people are there, that determines how many times they buy a celebration cake. But that doesn't determine how many times they also pop in for a slice or a cheesecake or a selection of cupcakes, or they send out cupcakes or a birthday cake to loved ones.
Okay, thank you, Sukh. And perhaps then a couple now on new product development. If we think first of all about, obviously your egg-free cream cakes, are you seeing, or is there an opportunity perhaps to move away from the cream-based cakes and do things like brownies? Is there a greater range of products planned, particularly for home delivery, to take on Caspers and other dessert options on those apps?
Our sales are 95% fresh cream celebration cakes. So we have other peripheral cakes, which are like the cheesecakes. We have we've got the slices, the brownies, we've got the loaf cakes, but we see that the sales are primarily in the sponge-based cream cakes. So we will have in the kiosks that we're doing, we anticipate greater sales in these periphery products rather than the core products. But our core products are the best selling and the most selling that we would have. And we're not into the dessert market. The dessert market is a very small, equivalent to the slice sales that we have, a very low basket. Our average basket was £31, reduced slightly now to £26 because of the smaller groups that we have, which the government are allowing. But I would anticipate that going back up once lockdown and we're back to normal. So, or the periphery cakes are fine products, but that's what they will be, periphery and not the core product. Okay.
And perhaps then, well, that leads us neatly on to discussion around new product and vegan options. When will the truly plant-based option become available? Egg-free is a good start, but do you see that coming within the next 12 months?
We are on version 7 of the vegan sponge, and we're on version 6 of the plant-based cream. We've got it now to a level which is quite resembling what we have to offer. So we're really happy to say within the next few months, we will be launching a true fresh cream, in inverted commas, vegan cake, so that our market who cannot enjoy a cake at the moment will be able to do so quite soon. We've launched the gluten/vegan loaf cakes, and we've just perfected a vegan loaf cake as well, which we'll be launching in the next few months. So I'm happy to say that we look at all of the market and we like to capture all the market.
Okay, and perhaps, well, final one for now on that subject, because it seems to be one people are interested in. Do you feel perhaps that the press and customers recognise you as a veggie meat-free? I mean, there's obviously lots of press and recognition around brands like Oatly and Beyond Meat. Do you think that Cakebox gets the same recognition within that sort of specialist food segment?
In the early years, we were recognised as a niche producer of cakes for catering for the egg-free vegetarian market. But now, as we're expanding across the country and everything, or we're becoming more mainstream, so they still emphasise the free from. So, or they're more interested in that we're giving a product which everybody can enjoy. So including the dietary restrictions and including non-dietary restrictions.
Okay. Perhaps one now for you, Pardip. Store EBITDA went down from 94,000 in the last year, but same-store sales went up. What was the driver?
Store sales, average store sales have been going down as we open more and more stores and our estate becomes a bit more immature. But what we have found is in 8 quarters now, this is the first quarter where we've had average weekly sales going up. At full year, it was 6,300. It's now 6,450. And for the first time in 8 quarters, the EBITDA for the franchisees has gone up from 82,000 to 87,000. But when we had less than 100 stores, you can imagine if we added another 20 stores in there, the percentage of the immature state was a lot higher. And as we get growing and getting bigger, the addition of 20 stores is having less of an impact.
Okay. Then looking at the distribution of stores around the UK, what determines which areas you're looking to have representation in? Is it simply the interest of a franchisee?
We are primarily led by franchisees. So where franchisees apply from, that is where we will go first. And or if we find that there's some areas are particularly underrepresented, like Scotland, we would do advertising there to attract more franchisees. But we go with the flow. Like we said, we have 47 deposits already taken, and they're all franchisee led. So the franchisee who knows their local area, knows the potential for our products there, we will primarily go with them.
Okay, back to the vegan opportunity again. What do you think the opportunity is in terms of additional market size from the introduction of a vegan product?
Again, personally, I believe that the vegan market will be complemented by the flexitarian market. So people who want to give up meat or dairy for a few days a week, we can offer that product to them. But we haven't really catered for the vegan market. So it'd be very interesting to see how the sales are when we launch an equivalent of the fresh cream cake offering that we do offer at the moment. The most difficult thing was getting the taste of the cream. All the creams that are on the market were 26% sugar, and our fresh cream cakes contains no sugar in the cream at all. So we've managed to find one which is 4%. And the data, once we've launched it, the data will speak for itself. Once we know the data and how much sales we've got, we can report that to you next time on the full year report, full year results.
I think they would find that helpful. Thank you. Which of your competitors do you value most?
We have no direct like-for-like competitor, but we're honoured by people copying us, which are locally based. They've got 1 or 2 shops, and they still don't have the confidence to make it a pure cake shop. They will have some of the other products in there, like pastries and sandwiches, etc. So it's only local competition, and you're going to get that in any sphere of business that you're in. But we've got one person who's got about 12 shops in the Midlands, but otherwise we don't really have a like-for-like competitor.
Okay, well, I suppose this is an extension of that then, but what do you see as the ideal, or would you perhaps steer your franchisees to see as the ideal neighbouring store to a cake box? And in addition to that, can you tell us how the stores which are located in Indian neighbourhoods perform compared to those which are perhaps not within local Indian communities?
Yes, so we found that we started off in the high Asian areas. That's where I started my business off. That's where I lived. And the first few franchisees, they were all in Asian areas. And so that's where our business grew up. But we've expanded that to areas such as Southampton and Aldershot, Sunderland, Glasgow. And we found that those shops have turnovers very similar to the ones we have in Asian areas. Or what the end thing is that if our product is the defining piece, because everybody enjoys it. So no matter where we open, we get customers in. And so whether they're Asian or non-Asian, everybody likes the product. And that is what the driving factor is, because you can have great marketing, you can have great packaging, but if the product is not there, if the product is not tasty, you won't get the business. And the classic example is McDonald's and or Burger King. You can see queues outside McDonald's, but hardly anywhere in Burger King. The product has to live up to the expectations of the customer, and that is what we provide them: a true fresh cream, egg-free cake, which is indistinguishable from normal cakes.
So a truly multicultural product then, Sukh.
Absolutely.
Good. And perhaps the first question there got lost. What do you see as the ideal neighbouring stores to a Cake Box store?
Or what we like to see is where there's a fresh vegetables or shops. So people come to shop every day. A butcher, a newsagent, a grocery store. Those are ideal neighbouring stores. So we got a sense of community as well, and so you get repeat purchases, and people come every day to the butchers or the grocery store or the fresh veg store or the newsagent, and that is the ideal locations for us.
Or a convenience store as well. We found that a couple of our stores are near Tesco Metro, and people have a reason to go there every other day, and so that creates footfall. And whilst they're there, they see our bright colours, and you can't miss us.
When you're going for your daily shop, when you're going for your daily shop, you might as well treat yourself to a fresh cream cake rather than a pre-packaged one, which you get in these convenience stores.
Absolutely. Sukh, perhaps you could provide us a couple of questions here around your recent sell down. Perhaps you could give our listeners a little bit of reassurance as a major shareholder in the business why you did that.
I had no intention of selling down, but the intense pressure from all the investors to increase the liquidity of the shares. And we did have a lot of pressure from the smaller investors who wanted to buy, but there was nothing available because the big institutions had it. And so I reluctantly sold down a little bit more to allow liquidity, and it has increased liquidity and allowed everybody to own a slice of the cake, if I could say so.
That was a good opportunity at that time for me to purchase a substantial number of shares as well. So
good.
So
more confidence in the business from you.
Oh, absolutely. I'm in it for the long run.
Good to hear. But there's probably a couple of ones that feed on from that. A little bit looking ahead, but why do you think there not been a dominant cake franchise already?
Because I believe that nobody can offer what we can offer, that which is a personalized cake on demand, either to collect or to deliver. And no one's had the foresight of doing so, right? And it always comes down to someone thinks of an idea and he takes off. Or same with the Subways and the McDonald's and the pizza places, right? Until someone does it, you won't know. And I believe that we've captured the mood of the country when we took it on. And the fresh cream cake died about 25 years ago on the high street, and we brought that back. And we brought back that fresh gâteau that you want to buy and have, rather than get a frozen one or a pre-packaged icing cake from the supermarkets.
Perhaps then as well, do you see any threats from healthier eating, or have you come across any data suggesting that cake eating is going down?
If you pop to any newsagents or supermarkets, at the tills, you're going to have row of sweets, chocolates. You're going to have the Mars, the Snickers, the Whispers. They've been going for so many years because they're not about health, they're about a treat. And that's what we are. We're a treat. So when you have a birthday only once a year. Okay, if you've got 2 or 3 kids, that's 3 times a year. But you're not having this day in, day out. So when you have a special occasions, all health, all calorie counting goes out the window. And you have that one treat, one time of the year. And that's what we're about. We're a celebration. So when you have a celebration, you come to us. So no, we don't have no concern at all from the healthier eating lobby.
Many of your cakes use Disney imaging. I'm assuming obviously you get permission for that. Are there other opportunities for other licensing sort of cake branding opportunities? We
buy pre-licensed products. So all the Disney ones we buy from a company who's got the licenses and who are allowed to print. And as they increase their licensing range, we will increase our choice of cakes available. Unlike the smaller high street shop who just prints it off and puts it on, or we don't do that. We're ethical and we follow the guidelines. And as we increase our supplies, increase the license rate, will increase the options to the customer.
Excellent. Well, then perhaps just a little cheeky one to finish off with. How much would you sell the business for if Tesco wanted it?
Pardip, I'll leave that to you.
Oh, it'd be nice for Tesco to come knocking on our door and make us an offer. And I think I can only really make a decision when they do that.
Fair answer. Put you on the spot there. Well, listen, gentlemen, thank you both very much for joining us today. And we look forward to catching up with you in 6 months' time.
Great. You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.